Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. We got a super happy Apollo here. He's been walked, he's been fed, and he's in good mood. So thank you so much for giving me a couple minutes here. I'm going to put this little ball of fur down and so we can begin. Welcome again to your monthly reading. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at Taurus, and we're going to look at the next 6 to 8 weeks, as we always do, helping you basically navigate all the opportunities, some of the challenges, and everything in between. So if you've never been here before, I'd like to just say welcome. And I got some really interesting energy coming through when I was tuning in to guides this morning. So the way that I like to begin is always starting with channeled messages. And the channeled messages for me come through dreams and meditations. And I got a lot of dream messages for you today. So let's, without any further delay, let's go ahead and pull up the dream messages for you. We'll break them down one by one. And I have to say, it's pretty good based on what I was picking up on. I think that there's this great opportunity for you to get through something big in your life. It could be an accomplishment, it could be a challenge. And there's this interesting sort of in-between zone that you're in right now, where you're trying to figure out what's next. And sometimes there's even like a fear of success, which is what I'm picking up on. Kind of a weird thing to pick up, but I'll try to help you navigate through it. And I think it makes sense once we take apart all of the sort of dream energy here. So let's begin with the first symbol that I got, which was Nasturtium. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, actually in California, it's growing, probably elsewhere in a couple of months. It's a decorative yellow-orange flower that actually sometimes you'll see in salads. It smells like pepper. When I did some research, it was actually substituted for that during one of the world wars. And its name is kind of interesting. I always like to look up when I'm using a floral totem. I want to understand like the Latin root of the name. So nasturtium comes from two different roots that basically mean twisting of the nose or nose twister, because it has a pungent smell. So if you ever break off one of the leaves or you kind of have to open it up to smell it, but it has a peppery scent to it. It's beautiful though, and many varieties have the capacity to climb up a trellis or a wall. So I always see this as something that can overcome odds, that can reach new heights. And you know, what one person may turn their nose to, someone else may absolutely embrace. So I see this as being success at hand. And also, if there's a gatekeeper in your midst, let's say it's an editor, a teacher, a boss, a parent, a friend, and they have an opinion. You know, everybody has their own point of view, their own lens. The important thing here is, how do you feel? And is this something that you get behind, whether it's a path in your life, a person that you love, or something that you want to bring out and share with the world? It's more important about how you feel, because taste is subjective. And in this case, if someone can sort of sniff out success, that's also subjective. So you have this capacity to surpass expectations, to reach new heights, even if, or especially if, other people don't understand how or why this is working for you. Okay, so that's what I get when I tune into the energy of the nasturtium, is this ability to climb. Some people are going to get it, some won't, because it has that sort of pungent taste or smell. And also, it's just, it's beautiful. Again, it's sort of subjective, but I see the beauty in this particular totem. All right, let's move on to the next piece. So this is what I was seeing in dreams right before I got up. And there was this sort of, I described it as a liminal space, an in-between space, where I felt like you've been working really hard for something. Some of you have been working really hard to get over someone or something. And then I saw that there was sort of the universe coming through and reminding you of how far you've come and that there's something new waiting. So the liminal space is sort of you realizing your strength and figuring out what's next. When, let's say for some of you, you've been in school for a while and you've been studying really hard and you're in your last semester, it's exciting, but then it's also a little bit discombobulating, because you think, now what? I've been focusing so much on the achieving of a diploma or certification that now I have to actually put it to practice and get to work. And so there is a reminder that that's what you were doing all along, and there's always going to be some other goal to reach for. And I think it's important to have multiple things, multiple goals, so that we never get bored. Even if, when you retire, I get a lot of folks saying, read for us retired folks. Yeah, like it doesn't matter if you are 18 or 80, it's the same sort of thing. You're still going to be making new plans for yourself, because at every stage in life, or if you're mid-career and you get laid off or you get promoted, we're always starting over, right? And that's why I put judgment here. You don't have to wait until the ultimate moment of transformation to transform. We go through many judgments in our life, many reincarnations in this incarnation, I should say. So decide what comes next and see it as a new beginning, and know that you've checked off one of your karmic lessons or goals, and that's exciting. And all you're really feeling is that sense that any of us do in the birth or the death or the transition between one stage and another. So I definitely got that coming through. Even though we're ahead of graduation season and all of that, there's something important coming through in this period. So don't get too much in your head. Just realize that it's one of many ends and beginnings that's underway for you. Finally, Spirit wanted me to kind of call your attention to the power of daydreaming. So for those of us that have a traditional job or non-traditional job, or we're busy with something that we're supposed to be focusing on, daydreams are still dreams. We're just getting them when we're supposed to be doing something else. That doesn't invalidate them. In many ways, that's the universe trying to get you to shift your focus. So if you can't concentrate, if you're obsessed, or if you're really kind of drawn to a particular path, give it some thought, give it some energy, and figure out why it's coming through. There is either something to resolve or there's something to consider there. The Seven of Cups is indicative of all of that. It could be a new sort of epiphany or inspiration that wants to come through, and it's just asking you, why won't you focus on me? Okay? So daydreams, you don't have to go to sleep to dream or to have a vision or to tune in. So that's what we're doing here too. This is a sort of altered state as we go through and look at all of this. So I'm going to hopefully help you find your focus today. But ultimately, if we were to look at the overarching theme of everything today, it's overcoming challenges, achieving a goal, and then thinking about what's next. Okay? So that's exciting. That's a nice way to kick off the reading today. Again, we're going to be now looking at the Celtic Cross. You can use this for your sun, rising, moon, and Venus. I'm going to specifically go into sun, rising, and moon in just a few moments. But right now, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to pull the cards, and we're going to see what is coming through. All right. Hopefully you're all doing well. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you today and to read for you. Definitely some challenges, but also some opportunities. I'm so glad I can help you with them here. Shift of perspective for sure. All right, let's go ahead and expand this a bit. All right, let's begin, folks. We're going to start off with your catalyst card. It came through in the reverse state. Let me just pull my camera so I can see what you're saying. All right, so we have the Hawk and Messenger. Let's look at it upright so I can read everything. First and foremost, any sort of messenger card is just asking you to tune in, and that's why I think I was really highlighting the importance of dreams, be they in the morning or in the evening or whenever. Spirit is sending you messages. Open your greater vision to see the signs, focus on priorities and eliminate distractions. You have a bright future. Of course you do. And let yourself ascend to new heights. And the Nasturtium, of course, a climbing energy, so connected to this as well. The card was reversed, so many of you may be listening to the messages of others. You may be doubting your own intuition. You may be questioning your abilities, none of which is really going to help you further the dream or further the sort of goals. So the one thing that I want to help you with this month so far that I can see just with the catalyst is to have faith in your vision, have faith in your capacity and your abilities, and to remember what I said at the beginning with Nasturtium. It's a little smelly, but it's a beautiful plant, and it actually can, if it's appropriately sort of mixed in a salad or something, it's just right. So it's all about how you put things together. Don't let one message take you off path. And that's really what this catalyst is about. Because that one message, sometimes it's good news and it can lift you up. Sometimes it's someone who comes in and tries to deflate the balloon. And we're not going to have any of that this month, Taurus. You've got too much potential. Let's dig into the Celtic Cross and see what's going on here. I always like to kind of glance at everything to get a flavor for it. And here's what I see. If we just look at the 3 in the center, it looks like you're pushing through things here. There is a fear of, for many of you, maybe failure or the unknown, but you are able to move through all of that. And ultimately, we get to the Magician at the end, which is what I like. There is some uncertainty. There could be a third party coming in that, again, is trying to kind of shake things up a little bit, but you're going to have a perspective shift this month that's going to change everything. So let's look at them one by one. So the center card, and it basically plays really well, or I should not, these two are related, the Devil and the 5 of Swords. This would be like the foot soldier to the Devil card. A little harder to see in this particular illustration, so I may bring the traditional one up, but let's just look at this for a second. So 5 of Swords, the caption on this one says defeat. I would also say it's someone who won't allow themselves to be wrong or who isn't listening. So it can also be the equivalent of the devil and the angel on our shoulders, where the devil's whispering all the fears, the doubts, the uncertainty, and it kind of won't let you win. If you're in the presence of a 5 of Swords person, they typically are not, they may hear, but they're not actually listening. The meaning that you want to get across, it's not coming through. And so the important thing here is not to waste too much time, energy, or breath spending, any of your precious sort of energy on this. So here we go. Sometimes people like to get a rise out of you, and that's what we see with this person. Sometimes they just like to see how much power or how much influence they can have. And then sometimes they just don't want to take accountability. This is working its way to the 7 of Swords, which is a lack of accountability. So if there's someone in your life and you basically could talk until you're blue in the face and you still don't have an effect or an impact on that relationship, this is a clear sign that it's time to focus elsewhere. And also for the little devil and the angel, if the devil's on your shoulder basically trying to talk you out of doing something that you know is right for you, or trying to convince you, oh, this won't matter that much, it'll be okay. I want you to listen to your common sense and your higher messengers that are also coming through saying, you know what to do. Don't listen to that 5 of Swords energy. Be it a person or an aspect of your own mind, we don't want that. The biggest thing that the 5 of Swords is whispering to you is it's not going to work, or you might fail, or you are failing. And this is not the case. Failure only exists when you're not learning. You may not accomplish the goal that you wanted to, and that's what the world sees as failure. What I, as a sort of what do we call ourselves? Metaphysician? As a tarot reader and intuitive. But in the realm of metaphysics, I don't think failure constitutes that. If you learned from an experience and you gained insight and strength and perspective, which is what you did, because when I look at you this month, you got perspective. You might have had a delay, but you got perspective. Then you succeeded, just not the way you thought you would. And this, the 10 of Swords is a card where it's successful in one thing, knowing what you don't want and knowing that you need to see some change. So there is probably an aspect of your life right now where you're very clear, either because there's been a breakdown in communications with the 5 of Swords, or because you're afraid of, again, success or failure on some level. So in this moment, I'd like you to redefine what it means to be successful. I'd like you to open yourself up to sort of casting your role as a work in progress. And you don't have to be perfect overnight. Now, as just a general sort of note, this is saying don't burn yourself out. If you have any chronic fatigue, pain, or if you're just in pain emotionally, then reach out to a professional. my standard disclaimer applies here. I'm not a substitute for your doctor or for a financial advisor or any advisor in that respect, but I can say that that card usually shows either fear or pain. So if you're going through either, you may benefit by talking to someone. Okay, let's look at your deep past. This is really what you're kind of bringing to the table from your experience here. So we have strength. And I mentioned you're not really failing as long as you're becoming wiser, stronger, and more capable. The strength card is reversed. So what I think is happening for some of you is just overwork. What will happen in everyday life is sometimes if we put too much on our plates, the body will break down and just say, all right, this is going to be a sick day. Or sometimes it's even like a broken bone or twisted ankle or something of that nature. Take care of yourself so you don't need any of those cosmic lessons coming through. Really just pace yourself and treat your body as the sort of divine vessel that it is. You need to take care of it. We only get one body. We may have many lives, but we only have one body in this lifetime. So treat it well. And if anyone in your life is trying to convince you otherwise, then it's the wrong place to be. Usually it's a place like work, but it could be a relationship too, where someone wants you to take yourself for granted. Don't do that, okay? Just rest. This is the key thing with this. Rest, and then this can also indicate a really difficult person around you. It can be someone very close, oftentimes a family member or a loved one, like a partner. If it's a professional thing, it would be someone that usually has seniority over you. So what's happening is they're having a hard time letting you just do something on your own. They constantly want to come in and make sure that you haven't forgotten something, that you remember who the boss is and all of this stuff. So they want to just keep sort of like exerting their power. In this case, you're reminding them, I'm strong enough, I can do this. And this is exactly that. This is like the, what would you call it? It's like the puppeteer, yeah, kind of pulling the strings. That's what the devil represents. And this is you wanting to snip those strings and just saying, I can do this, let me do this, okay? Recent past, we like this. This is the graduation card. So you're already there, folks. It may take a minute for you to finish whatever you're finishing, but you've got this, and the burden will be lifted here. Anything worth doing in life takes some work, right? It's not going to happen usually easily unless we've done many, many lifetimes of work to get us to that point. So with this, don't lose track of how far you've come. And yes, it may feel like a burden, but it's also a gift. I love how this one's wrapped up with that beautiful sort of like bow there. So you don't have to carry this burden alone. That's one thing to remember too. So don't be afraid. In fact, I should put it in different language. Feel emboldened and feel able to reach out to someone and say, hey, I could use some help or could use your insight on this. What's next? That's also what the guides are asking you. And teachers are the they that I'm talking about here, and society and friends and everyone. Nobody really tells you that once you get something, again, certification, title, whatever, nothing changes within you. You just have to kind of step into this and assume that mantle. So I'm giving all of you permission to have that moment of kind of psyching yourself in or out of something. But then you can reset that pretty quickly and say, no, I can do this. Everybody had their first day or their first chance at something. Now, once you complete and get the degree, then also, or get the job or get married, whatever that graduation thing is for you, what then is the next thing here? So I'd love for you this month, you have a whole month to do this as well, because you're even watching this in advance. But April opens up an opportunity for planning and dreaming. And if you do it in a nice sort of period, it doesn't have to then encroach into your other work and become daydreaming. Just set aside time for planning and research and development and personal growth. This is important this month. Celebrate your successes as well. You've worked hard to get where you're at. All right. Now let's talk about El Diablo, everyone's not so favorite, but a very necessary card to look at. We're going to look at the traditional one too. I do love the way that this one's illustrated. So this is basically someone that is kind of standing at, it's like a gatekeeper. The card in reverse is exactly where I want it because it's releasing shackles, fears, or unnecessary or unfair boundaries. I love how all the cards are coming up really quickly here. So here's your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Devil. What we see is basically the Lover's card in its lowest form. We see the two lovers, and instead of an angel, there's a devil. And holding them together, this is all we really need to focus on. This is more the personification of fear and doubt. But if we look at the two lovers, they are chained. And what happens here is, I really read the devil as an unnecessary chain, restraint, constraint, or limit, oftentimes that you or another person is placing on yourself. So the biggest thing that we can look at with this, easier to look at devil card, is don't let that get in your headspace. This is in the crowning position, because we see empowerment coming through. The moon is revelation, it's reflection, it's instinct, it's power. So you're reclaiming your power, but you have to get past this. Listen to your common sense. It's coming through right now, and you're going to be able to overcome this. The devil can represent, someone else's thoughts or words that are resonating in your head, or ricocheting in your head, I should say. That hopefully they're not resonating with you. And what you really want to do now is dispel that. And a lot of times what I do is turn lower frequency thoughts around. I can't do this. Why can't I do this? I think I can do this. I will do this. Work your way to the affirmative, but it has to start by questioning why you can't or why this is wrong. And that might be the best defense when someone says something. Show me the information. Show me the facts. Is this just your opinion? Because I believe in myself. Why don't you? Just turn the tables. And that's the devil reverse. Turn the tables. And that might be your title this month, because I think you have a chance to turn the tables and really make an impact. And, you know, if we were just looking at this, you can go horn to horn with this because, Taurus, you have the same sort of defense mechanism. So use your head, be headstrong in this situation, and you're going to be all right. Let's take a look at the opportunity. The near future. Opportunity is even better because we have the King of Swords. But as we're looking at near future, we have the moon. The moon is going to lead way to the magician here as we look at outcomes. So this is really important. The moon's coming through to remind you of your power and your capacity, and it's asking you to look at things that maybe you've ignored for a long time. This is instinct, this is intuition, it's in its rawest and most primal form, but it's really, really powerful. It comes through whether you like it or not. And here's the cool thing. Sometimes other people don't want you to pick up on stuff, but you pick up on it, whether it's that you can trust them or that you shouldn't do something or whatever. This is your instinct coming through to protect you, and in many ways to help you get out of a situation that is no longer serving your good or their good any longer. The moon is also a chance for us to not get caught up in sort of territorial or even sort of, what's the best word here? Yeah, just trivial complaints and arguments. And so this is saying, focus on the big picture. Focus on your own light. And that's one powerful thing with the moon. It's reflective, but it's not a source. Be the source. Don't be the reflection. And don't mirror back other people's stuff. So this is really going back into source. I love the moon. It's important to the planet, but it isn't the source. And we really want to focus on source energy this month. So it's helping you find the source, you, and then your connection to source. That's what really matters this month. So this is opening you up to make a better path. And usually on this card, there's a path down the center, a dog, a coyote. And it's basically saying, get past that and you can get to the higher purpose or the higher calling. Let's look at this card here, and I'll pull the traditional one in a second. So we have a perspective shift, and it's really the universe saying, are you ready? Are you ready to do something more? Or are you going to focus on this feeling that you are stuck, that you cannot? And if you can move past this, then you have a chance to really start something exciting here. So this represents for some of you a delay, maybe an inconvenient delay, but it's what you do with this time. I often say that rejection is protection. So here we see the traditional Hanged Man. Isn't it cooler when it comes through as a card like this, perspective? Because that's what this is. And if I didn't identify it, you may not have kind of picked up on that. If we just look at the head on this card, there's a nimbus or a halo. He's getting insight just like Odin did. And his insight comes from a pause, sometimes even a little bit of pain or a little bit of a sacrifice of time or energy. And from that, figures things out. So you've come further than you may give yourself credit for. This is a chance to see it from a different angle. That's what the Hanged Man can allow us to do. And sometimes when things seem topsy-turvy, they're just actually getting in the right direction. So there's a delay for some of you. There's an unexpected pause or some additional information that might be needed, but you're going to be able to get through this, and you may actually come out even happier and better off because of the delay, because of this sort of like wrinkle or fly in the ointment. So go roll with the punches this month, and if something doesn't work in the time or in the way that you had originally hoped, maybe it's going to be even better than you anticipated, okay? Let's see what's going on in the environment. Well, guess what? It's today's one card pull. I used the same deck for the daily card pull. So we have the Page of Cups, and she's reversed. And the card on this one is Dreams. And I was talking about daydreaming being really important. So we can even expand on the daily card pull specifically for you. I'm reading this on the 3rd of March in case you want to go back and look at the daily card pull. So I mentioned in today's reading that sometimes before you're able to be the satellite dish and receive, you got to get out all the old stuff. And that's why the cups are reversed. We have to get out the sadness, the fear, the anxiety. We have to get past the competition, all of the sort of subjective stuff that's standing in the way. So first things first, let go, release. Whatever you can do and whatever serves you in that capacity to allow for a release, fine. It could be art, it could be therapy, it could be talking to someone, it could be exercising. So many different ways for an outlet. But basically, once you can work through that, then the cup is open and you can start to filter in things and see them for what they truly are without all that other garbage. So sometimes we just have to, it's kind of like if you're making something, soup, and it just went bad. You've got to toss it out. Sometimes you can't fix it. So that's sometimes what we're doing is just tossing out the unnecessary things here. It's really important with a page, and I can only do so much in 1 minute. So the one thing that I couldn't talk about in the daily card pull is, pages are basically channels and mediums. So once we get that emotional overdrive out of the picture, then you can just use your heart and your head to really feel things out, untethered by fear, doubt, frustration, or other people's stuff from the past. Okay, so the most important thing is to clear your mind, clear your heart, clear your energy. Once you do that, there may be an offer that's knocking on the door. There may be something cool that's coming in. You can only recognize it if your own energy is sort of a nice, calm, even space. So that's the big opportunity in the environment. There could also be someone around you that is a little bit demanding or needs more than you can give. So the Strength card can be a divine feminine maternal energy. The Devil, again, someone who has a codependent relationship with you. And the Princess of Cups, it's emotionally draining for you. And the Ten of Swords can also be their own despair or sadness. So some of you, I just want you to unplug from a environment or relationship that's not serving you. For some of you, this can just be your own thought process that's kind of pulling you into worst case scenario. Once we get past that, it's actually pretty good, believe it or not. We have King of Swords and the Magician. They're waiting for you to sort this stuff out. And that's why you're being asked to stand still a little bit. But you have power cards in the most important places. Here, near future, Moon is powerful. And here, Magician. Both of these are really good. And then the conduit to make this happen, possibilities, is King of Swords. So these three are very good. This is also very good. You're finishing something you set out to do. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. You're more tuned in than you may imagine. You're not actually moving at the wrong speed. You're exactly where you need to be so you can get a new perspective. So it is just about shifting your perspective so you can see your power. One of the areas where you have some additional power this month is in your actions and your words. And by the way, the King of Swords doesn't have to be articulate. He just has to be effective in his communication. One of my best English teachers reminded us that using a bigger word but using it incorrectly wasn't as good as using a smaller or easier word correctly, because you're not successful communication basically constitutes a clear message. That's why no, period, a sentence and a word can be the most powerful statement. It's clear. If you need to clarify, you can say no because, but you don't have to talk ad nauseum. And that's what this is about. Brevity, clarity, and believing in yourself. Okay? That's all I need to say in the spirit of that. Looking at your outcome, it's a very powerful card. It's the Magician. The Magician is the beginning of manifestation. He did come through reversed, but it's still super powerful. So the Magician and the High Priest, or the Hierophant, and the Hermit, I see them all as sort of like belonging to the same family of energy. The Magician is like the youngest brother of all of the three of them. They could be like the three wise men if we were looking at that. But the Magician is a beginning, and it's starting to understand and uncover your power. What you want to focus on right now is the one thing that really brings you the sense of wonderment. And that's something I wish teachers would coach students. Like, what inspires wonderment, excitement, and awe? Forget about the money. We can look at that later, but what gets you excited? And that's what I want you to focus on this month. Working on, cultivating, creating. It doesn't have to be the moneymaker, folks. This is the thing that makes the soul grow. And one day it may be a moneymaker, but for now, I just want you to find your magic, your power. Once you've found your power, it's going to permeate all parts of your life. Everything's going to benefit. Do something this month that lights your fire, that creates that passion. And it doesn't matter which aspect of your life it's in. This is a nice segue because we're going to take a look at the expanded forecast. This constitutes health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to begin with health and well-being. As I said before, I'm not a substitute for a doctor or any level of professional in your life, but what I will do is help you see energy and opportunities, and it's up to you to decide who to work with and what to do next. In your health card, it says, I clear my energy field, which is what I was talking about with all of this. That's why the page came through reversed. That's why we're picking up on this, which could just be a limiting thought because it's in the head space. This could be being afraid to talk to someone about something or whatever. And this could just be needing to clear something in your diet, exercise, or body. So I can already identify 3 things that would benefit from clearing. And then clearing out old relationships. It's time to clean. This is spring cleaning, right? I'm going to do a special reading. I think it's the 21st or whatever, 21st, 22nd. So we'll do something oriented around that. But in the meantime, get ready for that and really clean out your energy, and don't be afraid to prioritize yourself. That's the only reason I can really think of this card being reversed, is that some of you are very good at helping others. Cleaning, clearing, assisting, supporting others, but it's okay. In fact, it's probably overdue for you to do that for yourself as well. Let's see what else is coming through. I mentioned chronic pain, fatigue. Definitely talk to a doctor about that. I'm also looking at the way she's sleeping here or laying down, so you may want to check out your support. I'm going to get some new support because I've been sleeping on my side more, so you need to basically have something to make sure that your neck isn't, so it's like one of those foam inserts, whatever. So if you're having issues like that, make sure sleep posture and the bed that you're sleeping on is supportive of you. And if it isn't, it's time to upgrade. It's time to, replace the pillow or the mattress or the bed itself. Let me see what else is going on with this that I want to talk about. This can be stagnation. So some of you just need to get your body moving a little bit more. Again, I'm not a trainer, so work with someone or a doctor. So figure out what that means for your body. Every body is different and every person has a different threshold, but this is stagnation. Pay special attention, if I can find the card, yeah. Pay special attention to your ankles in particular. Get some good support. I don't have any sort of a deal with these folks, but after I got I had a twisted ankle. I wear a pair of shoes. I'm not going to put the brand here, but it's pretty thick. It's like 1.5 inches or so sole. So go out to the store and get a pair of shoes that are really going to support you if you're going to do exercise or anything that's important. That's key. And make sure it's the proper shoe for the proper sporting activity. So sometimes we're wearing, basketball, tennis shoes or things for the wrong sort of sport. If you're doing long distance running and you've got the wrong shoes, you're going to end up sort of jacking your back out of shape and everything. So work with someone at one of the stores, get properly fitted, and make sure that you're supporting yourself. That's helped me stay stable and get healthier faster. So I wear the proper shoes. Not cheap, but totally worth it. Because you only have one body in this lifetime, right? All right, let's see if there's anything else. Speak up and speak out against things that don't seem right. These 2 things are sometimes bad actors in your life, people doing things that they shouldn't, and this is the voice of reason, truth, or law. King or Queen of Swords can represent all of that. I do see like the comeback kid here with this, so the magician has a chance to turn things around. So I see a happy ending, but a need to sort of like pay attention and do some cleaning in your energy, in your house, in your finances, all parts of your life. Clean it up. You'll be happy that you did. Speaking of finances, this was health. We're now going to move on to your wealth card. Wealth constitutes career, life purpose, and also, resources as well. So we have a recognition card coming through here. It came through reversed, and that's a reminder that much like Nasturtium, where taste is subjective, recognition doesn't always come through in real time. Hopefully it comes through in this, in this year or in this month, but sometimes it takes longer. A lot of times we look at, for instance, like scientists or mathematicians or even artists, and they were misunderstood in their lifetime, but many years later, oftentimes after they've passed, we recognize the genius, and it is sometimes just being ahead of the curve. So recognize your own talent and skills. Don't focus so much on other people's lack of imagination. And the other thing here is to recognize the people around you that are doing things that have helped you out. So it's just saying thank you and I love you and I appreciate you. So much power in recognition. An interesting thing too, and I experienced something like this recently, when you demand recognition, it doesn't work so well. And if you assume that someone didn't recognize you for a purpose, like sometimes people are just busy and you're like, you never say thank you and I'm really angry. And like, there's a good way to communicate it and that's not it. What you can do is say, I need some feedback on this. Was this what you were looking for? Do you have any critique? I worked hard on this and I just want to understand if it was hitting where it should have been hitting. And then they might wake up and say, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I've just been busy. You did a great job on that. So if you want to kind of fish, there's a way to fish, but do it in a way that's really kind of like clarifying, how can I be the best that I can be? That was my intention. Did I do that? That's good. That's a check-in. But demanding that you get recognition is almost a surefire way to not get recognized because it's entitlement. And usually when you're in the flow of creating something that will be recognized and received well, you don't have to, just because it's going to be felt by the people around you. And if consistently you work with people or surround yourself with people that don't recognize you, that's more of a long-term thing where you're like, I'm not in a supportive system and I need to work on that. And you don't need to change the person per se, maybe more just the network. So that would be my advice there, that the way that the law of attraction works is it should happen naturally. And if it isn't, that's a bigger thing that you can look at. Okay? But the good news is I recognize good momentum. I see talent. I see passion. I hope you do too. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll find people that do recognize you for exactly what you have to offer. Let's look at some challenges. I think it's time for some of you to move beyond a place that you're working or a place that you're at. So when we're looking at all of these cards, this could just be a glass ceiling. You can't get past a certain level, especially based on its location. This is hard work, but this is burnout. And so there has to be payoff. This is someone that said they were going to recognize you, but they didn't. So what we're looking at in an office could actually be a little bit more important. So if someone has put this into like a performance review, you may have legal action at some point, but sometimes it's better to just move on. That's what the moon card is saying here too. You can sort this out. You're going to have to sort it out for yourself. Do you want to stay and fight? Do you want to move on to a place where you can be more supported and applauded? Don't limit yourself. Follow your intuition. Some of you may be called to teach, write, or lead because the King of Swords is good at all of those things, right? And some of you are being called into the healing arts because the magician has to do with healing and source energy, things like yoga, Reiki, and all of that kind of stuff. This is an exciting card to come through. Doctors and nurses also would be connected to this because you're using all of your skills to heal. It's a different form of a healer, but it's a healer as well. So I like all that I'm seeing here. I want you to be recognized for your strengths. I would love for you to work a little less and get a little bit more support because I don't think the burnout energy is going to be sustainable. And you're being asked to just pause before acting. Gather your words, gather your thoughts, act with intention, something that I talked to Aries about as well. All right, that's a pretty good summary for this. And I think that's everything that we need to talk about with respect to wealth. Let's now move on to the next one, which is very popular with many of you. This is love. And this can be romantic, platonic, or friends and family. So on this card, it came through reverse, but we have focus on your mind. And the caption reads, thank you for helping me focus on my priorities. Some of you are daydreaming. That's okay. Some of you, though, may be fixated on another person. And that's more challenging. It could be someone that has broken up with you. It could also be someone that's passed into spirit, because I got that energy too. And when it comes to either, sometimes we can, well, the common thread between the two is you can't always control when someone decides to move on to another path. So I don't know if you need to hear this, but it feels like I need to say this. It's okay for you to be moving on with your life. It's okay to let go of what was. It wasn't a waste. It's not forgotten. It's built you up. It's a part of you. For those of you that felt like it was something great, especially if you've lost someone that you love, they're a part of you. They're watching. They're with you. If it's an ex and they've already moved on, it's okay for you to move on too. Or if you're moving on before them, there's some aspect of moving on that comes through very strong. And again, that graduation energy is kind of permeating this as well. So this could either be the month where you start to feel like you can catch your stride and catch your breath again, or you're just starting to make a little bit of a breakthrough there with moving on. And that's exactly where you should be. The other thing here is to focus on other things. It's really productive sometimes to throw yourself into another activity, but not to avoid, sometimes just to kind of like create some momentum and to see something else take off in your life as well. All right, let's focus now on the different aspects of relationships that I usually cover, those in love, those looking for love, and those happily single. If you're in an existing relationship, there's some stuff going on. For some of you, we're at a precipice. I saw the same thing for Aries when I read yesterday, but it's a little bit more pronounced for Taurus. So what I'm picking up on for you is that it feels like one partner's just closed off a little bit. The communication isn't where it needs to be, because this can be the two different people talking here. The moon and the devil are very difficult to get together in the same room and have a conversation with, because both of them have the desire to want to be right. Neither of them really wants to put everything on the table. And so it's almost like it's just the wrong time to have an important conversation. There could also be an aftermath of a disagreement that's going on. And so I think the key thing here is maybe to get some space, to do some work on your own energy, as we talked about here with health, clear it out. There will be a time and a way to have this conversation, but may not be today. And you really want to get yourself into a cool, calm, and collected state if that's what you're going through. Some of you may be having something out of your control that's going on. So this could be a health issue that's popped up. You might have had to move as well. There could have just been something that kind of jostled the tree a bit. And the main thing here is to realize, we're here for each other. We can't control this, but we can control our reaction to that. As long as there's open communication, I see a good outcome. If there's not good communication, then this creates some turmoil. So slow down, talk, listen, and allow for the healing to begin in existing relationships. And if there's something going on for your partner externally, or the stress of work is sort of kind of impeding here, again, slow it down a little bit, be there for each other. That's the important piece. If you need to move on, you'll be fine. Some of you have already made that decision, because the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords, that to me can be an end. So that's okay. I see the Magician as the outcome, so that's good. All right, so resetting the board a little bit and looking at, for those of you that are looking for love right now, I don't know if it's optimal, at least not at the beginning of the month. I feel like the important things are to focus on healing the body, finishing up a project, or finishing up whatever you set out to complete, loving yourself unconditionally and seeing yourself as complete. Because otherwise you're looking for someone else to complete you, and we don't want that. There could just be a Capricorn energy that's coming into your life, not necessarily good or bad. That's just what I'm picking up on, and that's fine. Or Scorpio, because these cards can represent that. But what I see right now is that I don't know if you're ready just yet. So you need to get to the place where you feel like you could take it or leave it, that you're really just sort of, you're yourself. You don't need to be in a relationship. You don't. And also if someone was saying, hey, let's make this long term, you wouldn't freak out. So are you ready either way, to be with yourself or to be with someone else? You have to be pretty stable there. And if that's not where it needs to be, then that's the main focus this month. I honestly think that those that are single and happy, you're in a great place this month. I see that you're going to be able to manifest. It looks like your communication skills are really strong. It seems that you might also be really tuned in to things that you need to focus on, and that you're not afraid to slow down a little bit, and that you can use some of this, whatever it is, some of the emotions that are welling up for productive things. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You can channel that and make a difference. Sometimes a little bit of agitation is good. It makes you decide, I don't want this anymore. I want this instead, or I'll show you by being successful, et cetera, et cetera. So you can always flip it around and use it as motivation. And I think the folks that are single and happy are doing that. All right, what's the destiny? What's the calling? What's the overarching energy for that this month? Well, perseverance pays off. It says, I know that I can do whatever I set my mind to. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, and yes, you will. So that's also this card realized. Hard work paying off, and there's a sense of satisfaction that comes through when you prove to yourself what we saw in that card, that you can and that you will do it. The energy centers that we're seeing here, there's a lot of like third eye, crown chakra, and heart energy that I'm picking up on in this. So really receive and believe is what we're seeing, and then love and trust, okay? Good. All right, let's go ahead now, and we're actually going to move forward to the big idea. And the big idea is one card that can kind of point you like a North Star in the right direction. Let's see what is coming through. By the way, in chat, I see someone with limiting thoughts, and I'm just calling it out because I see it. So fixate not so much on the other person, more on you, and loving yourself, accepting yourself, and focusing on building a really supportive, exciting life. The people around us, by the way, if anyone around you rejected you, you can do better. And you shouldn't try to win them back. You should just focus on being the best version of yourself and knowing that that person wasn't ready for what you, and maybe you've already worked through the karma before. So if you see one person as the end all be all, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we want to, that's why I talked about it earlier, that liminal space. So right before you get your diploma, right before you get married, right after you get divorced, right after someone dies, there's these moments of emptiness or uncertainty, but it's just about ready to get filled with something exciting. It's also opportunity. We got to focus on the opportunity. So we're going to program the big idea as also an opportunity card. I did one for the whole month, which was the Emperor, I believe, Emperor reversed. But let's see what the opportunity and what the North Star is and focus more on that. Okay. Wheel of Fortune, we love that. All right, so this is you taking the wheel and deciding who I am, what I stand for, what it is that you're really trying to create. So the wheel goes through cycles. It's never constantly, it's kind of like the stock markets, right? They go up and down. If you're an investor, it's not something that you will do in retirement. You have to be young because you have to be able to sort of like ride the wave, 7-year cycles sometimes, right? And over time, you get a certain percentage return. But in the moment, sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. The wheel of fortune in our life spins the same way. We have high points, we have low points, we have this trajectory, and it's kind of how you're trending that matters. So you may be in a high or low point, but it's going to keep spinning. And we got to tie it to the destiny card. If you persevere, they're both wheels, then you're going to end up on top again. It's just a matter of timing. And the key thing this month is not to rush to the high point necessarily. We can learn just as much from the in-between, the low, or something right before it. The high point is just a zenith, but there's so many ups and downs. And actually we see here, the mountains, there's many zeniths. We can see the up, we can see the sort of low point. You're constantly moving, just like a heartbeat. I heard this analogy recently and I like that. If we were to flatline, or if we were just to be peaking, that would be like a heart attack, or this would be death. So we're meant to have up, down, up, down. It's kind of the cycle of our heart. It's a cycle of our life. So we're constantly moving between highs and lows. Usually they're not insanely punctuated, but in this moment in time, keep working towards that next point, and then always plan a couple ahead. That's the main thing that I've been kind of focusing on this month. This would be a great time though for you to change job, change your focus on yourself too, just sort of like how you value yourself. So self-worth equals net worth. Some of you are ready to move on from a job, and some of you are just getting more comfortable with how much emphasis or energy you're putting into resources. What's your relationship with your money and any debts that you might be having? Definitely focus on cleaning out that area of your life for sure. Okay, let's expand this to look at sun, rising, and moon and see what the messages are. Sun, rising, oh, I love this rising, and moon. Okay, let's begin with sun sign messages. So Taurus sun, we have the Knight of Swords or the Prince of Swords in this deck. I love the, what's the best word? The clarity, the power, the confidence really with which this particular prince or knight is moving. He's ready to go forward. And so this pause, this perspective shift that you have right now is so that you can get this. The best renaming of the Hanged Man perspective. I would have liked to still see perhaps the Hanged Man somewhere there or a representation, but it's okay. Once you see things from a different perspective this month, you're going to have the clarity to move forward. Knights are unafraid to speak up or to move in a direction that's right for them. So this is very much following what feels and is right and seeing where it leads you, seeing what comes next. Also knowing that people may call on you, call on your expertise. A lot of times knights were called to protect or called to be a champion. So someone may look at you and say, hey, I have this new project, or hey, I'm looking for a roommate, or hey, I'm interested in you. All of these things could be coming through. There's interest in your capacity to make something better. All right. And that's the second communication card and action card that we have. So you're definitely shining in the areas of leadership and communication this month, especially sun sign. All right, let's move on from sun to Taurus moon. This one is so cool. This reminds me of the new Super Saturn that if you do a YouTube search or Google, there's this really gigantic Saturn that they found, Saturn-like planet that has like, I don't know, 5 or 10 times the amount of rings, and it kind of, if it were in our night sky, it would be bigger than the moon. But this kind of reminds me of that. This is the 10 of Pentacles, a really cool version of the 10 of Pentacles. And the ring system that we see actually existed even in our early solar system. So you can still see it if you, again, do a Google. And if you look at the rocky planets, so Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, you'll still see that there's in between them, or even just around them, there's these little rings of dust. So the universe began as like this accretion disk with the sun at the center, and it started to create, and then all these little rocks and gaseous sort of blobs formed, and then they formed accretion disks. Saturn is a mini version of that. What it shows me for you right now is you have these orbits of energy that you're kind of pushing out there. Your orbit goes further than you may realize. And what you can really focus on this month, and again, we're looking at rising, and this is going to be associated with business and social spheres, is working on strengthening your auric field. Really focusing on the lower 3 chakras, your root chakra, your security, your ability to express yourself in the second, and to be confident in relationships, your power center here especially, and allowing that to just sort of ignite like the sun, the solar plexus, and really pull in new things. The brighter and stronger your energy field can get, the more you're going to pull in with resources. It's one of the best illustrations because we've taken the material piece out and we've just gone to the metaphysical piece. So too often we're looking at like everything that's in that card, you know, a house and some people and some stuff and a bunch of coins. But on a stronger and more esoteric level, this is about the orbital energy that you're putting out there. So you have the capacity to pull things in. That's why if recognition isn't what you need right here, pull out a little bit more, go further. There's something stronger out there. Keep searching until you find the right connection. All right. Sometimes the closest thing isn't the best thing. And that's when we look at the habitable zone, and nothing could survive really that we know of on Mercury. It would have to be a very extraordinary form of life. But we needed to get away. You have to have just enough of everything. So the Goldilocks zone. So there may be something that's a better match for you in job, in love, in career, in life in general. Keep looking at the different orbits. There's more than one option at hand. And you have a lot of things that are still forming. We don't know what these are going to look like yet. This is a new system. And that's what it feels like when you're in that liminal space that I talked about earlier. So I definitely pick up on that for rising and ascendant. All right, as we move on to moon, choices. Choices are what's really going to come through right now. So we have generosity. Six of Pentacles is exactly what I would be looking at for having more than enough. It can be open hands or grabbing hands, however. And in reverse, it's also about pulling back a little bit and thinking, all right, how much am I going to drop into this particular investment? Is it worthy of my time and energy? Am I receiving a return? Sometimes it can be philanthropic, that's fine. But even then, you still, as a philanthropist, you still want to have the Six of Pentacles as long as you're living. Once you've passed, yeah, you can give it all away, but you need to have at least this much energy so that you can sustain. What this really constitutes, to break it down into, all right, Nicholas, what am I supposed to do? Say no when you need to say no. Know that some days are going to be a little bit more challenging. Some will be a little less. So pace yourself. It's not it's a long distance run. It's not a sprint. Life in general. So we don't want to burn out the energy too quickly. And I think for some of you, I was picking up on that. So saying no with intention, with kindness, without fear or doubt, it's a powerful thing. And knowing exactly how much and how often to give of energy. This is going to ensure that you basically have more than enough, which is what I would like you to always have in your life, right? All right, so let's quickly check in. We've basically moved through everything. So we're gonna now focus on a meditation, sound bath, and final card. One more thing that I wanna help you with before we get there, just one single card here for the reader's choice. How to move past fear or doubt. And then let's take a look at your meditation. So how to move past fear, doubt, or uncertainty in your life. The Emperor. So this is really closely aligned to what I pulled for my month ahead card. This one's upright. And so we kind of have a lone wolf here. And I talked about the traditional moon card, not to get involved with the wolf and the dog. Just go down your own path. Go your own way. And know that it's going to be okay. You have the power, you have the capacity, you have the experience to make it happen. And that's what the Emperor is saying here. And you're going to find your new tribe, your spiritual tribe, or your pack, basically. But some of you need to kind of eject or remove yourself from the pack mentality for a little bit so that you can find your power again. And that's what this card is showing us. Beautiful symbol. Wolf is one of my spirit guides, so I like it when I see it. All right, let's meditate together. Right after this, I'll pull a final card. When we look at the final card, just a quick reminder with that can be any question that I haven't already brought up. It's a great time to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll talk about other ways to show support after that. For today's meditation, what I'd like to do is to help you with this orbital energy that we saw here. Everybody can benefit from this. So close your eyes. You can take a look at this first before you close it. Imagine that you are a newly emerging solar system. You're the star at the center, and around you is opportunity, which is basically coming through as these beautiful bands of dust and clouds and other things. What I'd like you to do is to imagine that this is almost tantamount to like a painter's palette, and you get to kind of like decide what things are going to look like. So imagine that in this sort of primordial dust and gaseous sort of cloud around you, that you can call into being, breathe into being something. Maybe it's a partnership, maybe it's a job, maybe it's just your own development, but see it as written in the stars. So you can even just imagine a beautiful constellation of energy coming into form and sort of shimmering and glistening in front of you. But just know this, once you see it, it's in the stars. All you have to do then is to take a step, one step at a time towards that, and you'll be able to manifest because we got the Magician. So see yourself surrounded by stars, starlight, and potential. and call into existence what it is that you want to see next come into your life. Breathe, focus, and then we'll come back and look at your final card. All right, take a nice deep breath. Imagine now that whatever it is that you needed to create, you can see it taking shape, taking form, and you can call this energy into your heart center. Taking a few more deep breaths, imagine now that you are emanating that energy as you walk through each and every day of your life, that you now have that sigil or that energy surrounding you. And it's just a matter of reading the signs. We talked about that messenger card earlier and trusting that they're coming through. All right, please, at your leisure here, come back to me, open your eyes, focus now on your final question that you have, and let's take a look and see what the cards have to say. All right, we got another page card coming through here, and it's the Page of Pentacles. I love this card. All right, she came through reverse, but let's look at her in the upright position. She's reaching for the moon here, basically, not unafraid of kind of going after her inspiration and really grounding herself too in this. So she's firmly between the vision and the creation. So this month, if and when you're ready, we see something great coming in. Now, the Princess or the Page of Pentacles in reverse, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about before we wrap up. You can ask for more if you're negotiating. It's not like ridiculous amounts. This is usually a multitude of 1 or 10 when we're looking at a page. But within that percentage, maybe 1 to 10%, 1,000 to 10,000, something in that 1 to 10 zone, you can ask for a little bit more. This is also about you focusing on personal needs and development, not just money, but if you need more support, if you need to be listened to, or if you just need something in your life. This is also moving around investments. You know, if you've got a bunch of things saved up and you want to take out a little bit of that so that you can invest in a business or in something that's going to make life better, then that's fine. So ask for more, invest in yourself, and continue to reach higher, just like we talked about with the Nasturtium. It's bringing things full circle. All right? Beautiful messages coming through for you. My pleasure, my honor to be here and to be present for you. Thank you for being a part of this. If you haven't already followed me on social media, give me a follow. I'm relaunching my newsletter. I'm going to do that this weekend. It's been a minute. So nothing's wrong with your subscription. If you subscribed, if you haven't, you can go to my website and sign up now. Quick reminder, if you do follow me on social media, know that I don't give private readings and I don't send invites. And if anyone reaches out to you on any platform saying that they're going to offer a private reading, it's fake. Or just asking you for anything. Sorry, they're doing some construction. So with that being said, especially with the construction going on outside, let's wrap this up. Thank you all for being a part of this reading today. And for many of you for being with me for a while, I appreciate that. I want to give a little bit of gratitude to those of you that have given back in the form of memberships and or stickers, which are optional but appreciated. So give me just a second to pull this forward. Even if you haven't, I just want to say thanks for showing up. That helps as well. Liking, subscribing, and commenting is really how this channel survives. So thank you. So Marquita, let's see, Jess and Candace, as well as Josephine, Tracy, Vanessa, all of you, thank you so much for rejoining or joining. It's good to have you as part of the team. We're really close to a milestone and 5,000 more subscribers, which may happen by the end of the month. I will do a Q&A, so all the members will have a chance to submit questions for consideration. So more to come on that. Okay, let's take a look here at those that gave back with a sticker. I do appreciate that, and I just want to say thanks. So Aaron, Liz, Fenny, Palace, and Monica, thank you for your consideration and for your support today. I appreciate it, and you definitely make all of this possible. All right, everyone, a reminder that I'll be back on Sunday, every Sunday, in fact, to look at the week ahead. If you haven't already seen it, you can go to my main channel page and look at the Weekly Collective. I'm here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, unless otherwise indicated, and you can always look at the live tab to see what the upcoming videos are. I'll post them as I get sort of caught up today. All right, take care, everyone. Good to see you. Lots of love and light. Have a great month ahead, and thanks for your time.